Hello everyone and welcome to my Soap Twist 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Hope filled her heart as she looked out the window of the Forrester estate, the California sun casting a golden glow on the spacious grounds below. It had been a tumultuous few months, turning her life upside down in the most unexpected manner. Just a year ago, she was still recovering from the grief of her failed marriage to Thomas Forrester, believing that love was just for fairy tales and not for her. But then Liam Spencer reappeared in her life like a soft wind after a storm, reminding her of the simplicity and kindness that had drawn her to him all those years before. Liam had always been her rock, the sole constant in a sea of dramatic Forrester family entanglements. Their reunion began pleasantly enough, a chance meeting at Il Giardino, where they had a chuckle over old memories and a bottle of wine. Hope could not deny the spark that had rekindled between them. It was as if all the problems with Thomas had vanished, leaving only the pure connection she had always valued with Liam. He'd been dealing with his own problems with Steffi, their on-again, off-again romance ultimately collapsing under the weight of too many betrayals. "I never stopped loving you, Hope," Liam had muttered that night, his blue eyes locked on hers with such passion that it made her knees tremble. "We've wasted so much time chasing shadows. Let's not do that anymore." And with that, they resolved to give their love another chance. It wasn't without challenges. Hope's mother, Brooke Logan, was overjoyed but hesitant, given Liam's history of flip-flopping between her and Steffi. Steffi, on the other hand, was enraged, accusing Hope of snatching her husband once again. The conflicts at Forrester Creations were violent, with Steffi storming into Hope's office and her voice reverberating throughout the building. "You think you can just waltz back in and take everything from me? Liam was mine first." Hope remained firm, her voice calm despite the fluttering in her gut. "This isn't about taking, Steffi. It's about what's best for us. Liam and I belong together." The divorce procedures were tumultuous, with heated court hearings and media headlines portraying Hope as the homewrecker. Throughout it all, Liam remained by her side, his hand in hers, uttering encouraging words. They eloped in a modest, intimate ceremony on Malibu's beach, with just themselves, Brooke, and a few close friends. There will be no grand Forrester wedding this time, only pure, unadulterated joy. Hope wore a simple white sundress that flapped in the ocean breeze, while Liam looked handsome in linen pants and a pristine shirt, his smile as dazzling as the setting sun. Their honeymoon was a dream. They spent a week in Hawaii, lounging on sandy beaches, snorkeling in crystal-clear waters, and making love under the stars. During one of those passionate nights, everything changed. Hope felt a wave of nausea in the morning, but dismissed it as seasickness from their boat adventure. However, when the symptoms persisted, she purchased a pregnancy test from a nearby pharmacy, her hands quivering as she awaited the results. 2 pink lines. Positive. "Oh my God," she exclaimed, staring at the stick with incredulity. Liam burst into the bathroom, his face etched with concern. "What is it? Are you okay?" She looked at him, tears running down her face, holding out the exam. "We're having a baby, Liam. I'm pregnant." His eyes opened and filled with love as he drew her into a tight embrace. "This is the best news ever. Our little miracle." Back in Los Angeles, the news spread like wildfire among the Forrester and Logan families. Brooke was ecstatic, embracing Hope tightly and even organizing baby showers. "You've waited so long for this happiness, sweetheart. You deserve every bit of it." Even Ridge Forrester, ever the patriarch, congratulated Liam with a rough pat on the back. "Treat her right, Spencer, or you'll answer to me." However, not everyone was pleased. Thomas, Hope's ex-husband, heard the news and arrived at her door with furious eyes. "Pregnant? With his child? After everything we went through?" Hope moaned, resting a protective hand over her still flat belly. "Thomas, we ended things for a reason. I'm happy now. Truly happy." He paced the living room, his voice angry. "You were supposed to be with me. We had plans, a family. Those plans fell apart because of your lies, Thomas. Liam is my future. Thomas stormed out, but Hope knew he wouldn't give it up that easy. Sure enough, he began to appear more frequently at Forrester Creations, hanging near Hope's office, offering unwanted comments on her designs while quietly undermining Liam's job at Spencer Publications. Liam saw the tension right away. He's jealous, Hope, but he can't take what we have. Hope nodded, but a sliver of uncertainty slipped in. What if Thomas's intervention created problems? What if the pregnancy revived old ghosts? Hope's tummy swelled as the weeks and months passed, a wonderful reminder of the life growing inside her. She shined with pregnancy, her skin was brilliant, and she laughed more frequently. Liam adored her, foot rubs after long days, midnight desires met, and endless cuddling on the couch while watching old movies. One evening, as they sat on their balcony admiring the city lights, Liam put his palm on her bump and felt the first kicks. "Our baby is strong like you," Hope said, resting her head on his shoulder. "I can't wait to meet them. Boy or girl. Doesn't matter. As long as they're healthy and happy." But drama was never far away in their life. Steffi, still furious about her divorce, approached Hope during a family meal. "You think this baby fixes everything? Liam always comes back to me eventually." Hope's rage surged as her hormones heightened her emotions. "Not this time, Steffi. We're starting a family, stay out of it." The debate erupted, with dishes nearly flying until Ridge intervened. "Enough. This is supposed to be a celebration," Hope said, tears streaming down her cheeks, while Liam followed closely behind. She had a breakdown in her car. "Why can't they just let us be happy?" Liam pulled over and softly cupped her cheek. "They will in time. Our love is stronger than their jealousy." To escape the chaos, they went on a baby moon to Aspen, skiing gently and having warm fireside discussions. Hope felt at peace for the first time since the pregnancy news. There were no interruptions. It was just them and their growing family. Returning home, however, presented fresh obstacles. Hope's concepts for hope for the future were thriving, but morning sickness made it difficult to concentrate. She confided in her best friend, Paris Buckingham, during lunch. "I'm exhausted, Paris. But I love this baby so much already." She grinned. "You're going to be an amazing mom. And Liam? He's husband goals." Meanwhile, Liam was dealing with his own challenges at Spencer Publications. Bill Spencer, his father, was pressuring him to take on more responsibilities, but Liam's thoughts were on Hope and the baby. "Family first, Dad," he announced. Bill rolled his eyes. "Just don't let that Logan girl soften you too much." But Liam ignored him, concentrating on nursery preparations. They decorated the room in gentle pastels and debated names. Liam recommended William for a boy while Hope preferred Beth for a girl, in remembrance of their past. As Hope approached her second trimester, her baby bump became more noticeable, and she began wearing maternity clothes from Forrester's new range. The paparazzi grabbed images, with headlines including "Hope Logan's baby bumpless with Liam Spencer." The favorable coverage was a nice respite from previous controversies. Fans gushed online over their storybook romance, and Hope smiled as she read the comments. But Thomas wasn't finished meddling. He anonymously released a story to the newspapers about Hope's complicated past with him, hinting that the baby may not be Liam's. The article went viral, leaving Hope devastated. "How could he do this?" she cried to Liam. Liam clenched his jaw. "I'll handle it." He faced Thomas at Forrester Creations, fists balled. "You crossed a line, man. That's my child. My wife." Thomas grinned. "Prove it." A paternity test was unnecessary. Hope and Liam knew the truth, but to quell the allegations, they issued a heartfelt statement and shared an ultrasound shot that warmed hearts everywhere. The backlash against Thomas was rapid, and even Steffi withdrew herself, tired of his games. With the drama behind them, Hope concentrated on self-care, including pregnant yoga, wholesome meals made by Liam, and long walks in the park. She felt the baby move more frequently now, small flutters that made her laugh. Liam held her close one night during a thunderstorm as they reflected on their travels. "Remember our first wedding?" Hope inquired. Liam chuckled. How could I forget? Steffi interrupted with that whole Amber mess. Hope had a giggle. We've come so far. And we're just getting started, he said, kissing her forehead. As the due date approached, excitement grew. Brooke arranged a beautiful baby shower, complete with pink and blue flowers and gifts piled high. Katie Logan gave away a handmade quilt, while Donna brought an unending supply of onesies. The nursery was set up, a crib with a Star Mobile, bookshelves, and a rocking chair where Hope might envision late-night feedings. Then one bright October morning, contractions began. Hope clutched Liam's hand as they sped to the hospital. It's time, she muttered. Labor was exhausting but lovely. Liam guided her through each push, his voice steady. You're incredible, Hope. We're almost there. After hours of labor, their daughter arrived, crying lustily, with a tuft of dark hair and Liam's blue eyes. She's perfect, the doctor said. They named her Beth Elizabeth Spencer as a tribute to their long-lasting love. Hope's heart warmed as she first held Beth. Hello, little one. Welcome to our world. Liam teared up and kissed them both. Our family is complete. The first few days home were a jumble of sleepless nights and wonderful happiness. Beth was a good baby, feeding eagerly and cooing into her parents' cheeks. Visitors poured in. Brooke cooed over her granddaughter, and Rich promised to love her rotten. Even Steffi came by, extending a hesitant olive branch. She's gorgeous. Congratulations, Hope said, smiling. Thank you, Steffi. Truce. For the kids, Steffi agreed. Thomas brought flowers with a note saying, I'm sorry. Be happy. Hope forgave him, thereby finishing the chapter. Months passed, and Beth developed into a vivacious infant. Hope balanced parenthood and her job, with Liam by her side throughout. Hope turned to Liam one evening as they watched the sunset from Beth's swing. I never thought life could be this good. He drew her in closer. And it's only the beginning. Their love, tested by fire, had grown stronger. Hope's pregnancy had resulted in not just a child, but also a revitalized feeling of purpose and happiness. In the world of the bold and the beautiful, where drama lurked around every corner, Hope and Liam had found their happily ever after, at least for the time being. But as Beth gurgled contentedly, they knew they'd deal with whatever happened next together. The news spread around Los Angeles like a faint tremor before an earthquake, slight at first, but impossible to ignore. Hope had always thought that love, if discovered and carefully cultivated, could weather any disaster. Her marriage to Liam was intended to provide a solid foundation for her, a promise that the turbulence of the past had finally resolved into something safe and enduring. Even as she settled into the rhythms of married life, fate was already rearranging the pieces, preparing a discovery that would change everything. Hope found she was pregnant on a typical morning that started like many others. The sunlight flowed through the windows, gentle and forgiving, illuminating a life that appeared peaceful on the surface. She initially dismissed the weariness as stress and the nausea as nerves, both of which were common side effects of juggling work, marriage, and family obligations. But deep down, a subtle intuition screamed that something else was happening within her. When the truth was eventually disclosed, it came as a rush of emotion that left her breathless. The fact that she was carrying a child should have filled Hope with pure delight. In many respects, it did. She had always wanted to be a mother and have a family based on love and stability. However, this pregnancy came with layers of complication that made it impossible to feel happy without hesitation. Carter's presence loomed large in her mind, not as a distant memory, but as a vivid, breathing reality that refused to be put away. Carter had been more than just a passing episode in Hope's life. He was someone who saw her flaws and stood by her when her life seemed to be crumbling apart. Their unexpected but powerful relationship had developed at a time when Hope was doubting all she thought she understood about love and fidelity. Even when she chose to marry Liam, Carter's emotional imprint lingered in quiet times and whispered thoughts. As Hope struggled with the ramifications of her pregnancy, she found herself rehearsing the events over and over. Dates, discussions, and ephemeral events that seemed trivial before took on great importance. The question she feared the most was one she couldn't answer for certain: who was her child's father? Though she attempted to remain calm and rational, anxiety crept in, overshadowing what should have been a joyful discovery. Liam, for his part, noticed something was off almost immediately. He knew Hope well enough to know when she was hiding something, when her smiles didn't quite reach her eyes. Their marriage was still fresh, and in some respects delicate, so he was determined to defend it. When Hope eventually told him she was pregnant, his first emotion was one of real joy, a rush of enthusiasm that temporarily overshadowed everything else. The prospect of being a father again gave Liam a feeling of purpose and optimism for the future. He envisaged bedtime stories, family dinners, and the opportunity to get things right this time. Yet, underlying his enthusiasm, a faint discomfort began to emerge. He couldn't get past the timing, the way events seemed to overlap just enough to create questions he didn't want to ask. Hope studied Liam's expression as she broke the news, seeking reassurance even as guilt gnawed at her. She wanted to believe that love alone could get them through whatever lied ahead. Still, the unspoken truth hung between them, fragile and frightening. She realized that honesty would eventually become inescapable and that the repercussions could be disastrous. Meanwhile, Carter was ignorant of the storm developing just beyond his line of sight. He went on with his life, focusing on his profession and attempting to move forward after accepting Hope's decision to marry Liam. Though he appreciated her decision, a part of him never truly let go. The link they shared was genuine, and he couldn't simply delete it from his heart. Carter was shocked to learn about Hope's pregnancy. Initially, he assumed the child was Liam's as a natural evolution of their marriage. He convinced himself that this was the end he should accept, and that Hope was creating the life she desired. But uncertainty crept in, spurred by memories he couldn't shake and a bond that felt unfinished. Carter's long-suppressed feelings were reawakened by the prospect that he was the father. Fear, hope, and longing collided within him, causing an inner storm that could not be ignored. He questioned his right to even entertain such a thing, let alone act on it. Nonetheless, the concept persisted, refusing to fade. As the days passed, Hope found herself at a crossroads, divided between maintaining the life she had established with Liam and telling the truth, no matter how difficult it was. Each choice came with its own set of risks, and the weight of responsibility weighed down on her. She reflected on her child, the world she wanted to raise them in, and the values she wished to inculcate. Her chats with Brooke brought an extra degree of intricacy. Brooke, ever sensitive, recognized that Hope was dealing with more than simply physical changes from pregnancy. When the truth finally came out, it was met with a mix of concern and comprehension. Brooke was all too aware of how complicated issues of the heart could become, particularly when love, history, and timing clashed. Brooke asked Hope to think about the long-term effects of secrecy. She reminded her that falsehoods, especially when told with good intentions, had a tendency of unraveling at the worst possible time. Hope listened, divided between fear and a desire to do what was correct. She knew her mother was correct, but the thought of hurting Liam filled her with dread. Liam's own misgivings grew gradually, fueled by small shifts in Hope's behavior and a nagging suspicion that he wasn't seeing the full picture. He wanted to fully trust his wife, to believe that their marriage was based on honesty and mutual respect. However, the shadows of the past were difficult to overcome, especially in a society where love triangles and unexpected twists were nearly unavoidable. When the issue of paternity arose, it did so with all the fury that Hope had feared. The decision to take a test was both relieving and terrifying. It symbolized clarity, but also the possible ruin of everything she valued. Waiting for the results felt like an eternity, with each instant dragging beneath the weight of uncertainty. Carter, being fully aware of the situation, grappled with his own sense of duty. He didn't want to cause hurt or strife, but he couldn't deny the idea that he was deeply linked to this youngster. His interactions with Katie and others reflected his inner conflict, exposing a man torn between restraint and hope. The expectation of the exam results created tension in every interaction. Hope struggled to maintain normalcy, her emotions shifting between optimism and sorrow. Liam attempted to be helpful, but his patience was challenged by the feeling that something important was being concealed from him. Carter maintained his distance, unsure of his true place in the growing drama. When the truth was ultimately revealed, it did not come softly. The discovery that Carter was the father sent shockwaves through everyone concerned, shattering assumptions and pushing them to face a new reality. Hope was overcome with a mixture of relief and anxiety, thankful for the clarity, but afraid of the repercussions. Liam's reaction was honest and profoundly emotional. The betrayal he felt sliced through him, shaking his faith in the core of his marriage. He battled to reconcile his feelings for Hope with the sorrow of knowing that, at least in part, her heart had belonged to someone else throughout their relationship. The future he had envisioned now seems uncertain. Carter felt a great feeling of duty when he realized he was about to become a father. He wanted to do right by Hope and the child, to be there and supportive, but he was also painfully aware of the boundaries he needed to observe. His role in this new dynamic was uncertain, marked by both restraint and involvement. Hope found herself in the middle of it all, dealing with the consequences of an unavoidable truth. She regretted the simplicity she had lost while embracing the life that was growing inside her. Her love for her child served as a guiding force, reminding her that, despite the turbulence, something beautiful and profound was blossoming. The weeks that followed were filled with challenging discussions and painful reckonings. Liam had to determine whether he could overcome the betrayal and continue his marriage to Hope. Carter needed to establish his role in his child's life without overstepping. Hope was forced to confront her own decisions and the consequences they had on the people she loved. As the word spread, family relationships evolved, with each reaction adding to the already difficult situation. Some provided comfort and sympathy, while others strained to conceal their judgment. Through it all, Hope remained focused on the future, determined to provide a secure and caring home for her child, even if it meant confronting difficult truths.